Oh honey, if you thought Hollywood was done serving up piping hot drama for the week, think again. Did y'all hear that Blake Lively's big shot lawyer up and quit on her? That's right. The same attorney who was supposed to defend our dear Blake in her tussle with Justin Baldoni and Wayfair Studios has jumped ship. Now, if a lawyer's throwing in the towel, you gotta wonder, what does that say about her case? Today, we're peeling back all those glossy magazine covers to show you the gritty truth behind this legal fiasco. From the jaw-dropping claims that first shook the industry to the high-stakes PR spin that's got folks talking, trust me, you'll want to settle in for every single detail. But before we spill all the tea, let me say this. When an attorney throws up the deuces, you already know something shady is going on. We'll be taking a closer look at why Conant left Blake's side so abruptly and what that means for one of the messiest lawsuits Hollywood has seen in ages. Now buckle up, baby. This ride is about to get wild. Let's rewind to the start, shall we? Blake Lively kicked off this entire whirlwind by accusing Justin Baldoni, plus the execs at Wayfair Studios, of all sorts of improper conduct during their movie production. She painted a dramatic picture, body-related put-downs, questionable behavior on set, and a whole string of claims that made Hollywood collectively gasp. You've got to admit, it was a total headline grabber. Who wouldn't want to read about a beloved star allegedly cornered by powerful men in the industry? But here's the thing about Tinseltown. It thrives on spectacle. The second a big-name celebrity so much as sneezes, you can bet the whole town catches a cold. Every talk show, every tabloid, every fan Twitter account is ablaze. And in Blake's case, folks were practically sprinting to champion her, calling for Justin and Wayfair to come clean. The initial reaction was swift and passionate, as it usually is with star-driven controversies. Then cracks started showing. People began asking questions like, where's the rock-solid evidence of this supposed misconduct? Where are the receipts? That's when the storyline got murkier. Because you can talk a big game, but if you can't back it up with something tangible, Hollywood's tide turns real quick. That sympathy well that seemed endless, it starts drying out fast. For a while, nobody dug deeper. They were too busy devouring the headlines, outraged on Blake's behalf. That is, until Justin Baldoni and his crew decided to clap back in a way that'd make your auntie's Sunday pot roast look bland. Girl, let me tell you, they came prepared, and from that moment on, the narrative began to shift. Which brings us to the bombshell nobody expected. The abrupt exit of the lawyer who was supposed to hold Blake's case together. Let's not dance around the juiciest detail any longer. Blake's own attorney, Ms. Meryl Conant, decided to pack it in and head for the hills. Look, this lady was supposed to be the anchor on Blake's defense team. Normally, you see lawyers defend their famous clients tooth and nail, no matter how messy things get. But the moment fresh documents and contradictions started piling up, Conant said, "Thank you, next," and bounced. Now, I'm no mind reader, but I can hazard a few guesses as to why she bolted. Number one, the evidence wasn't lining up with the story her client was selling, making it a risky situation for any legal rep. Number two, sometimes you got to protect your own reputation. If you're a high-profile attorney and you realize your star client may have spun a few tall tales or lacks the receipts to back up her claims, you might want to jump ship before it's too late. Let's face it, this is Hollywood, baby. A meltdown here can mean your entire career is on the line. Naturally, the rumor mill's working overtime. One whisper says Conant discovered contradictory evidence that made her question Blake's version of events. Another says she couldn't handle the intense PR pressure behind the scenes. Either way, Blake's left scrambling for a new legal champion at the worst possible moment. Because if there's one universal truth in show business, it's that once doubt starts creeping in, it grows like wildfire. So what kind of bombshell evidence chased away a top-tier lawyer? Let's look at the receipts and see why folks are calling Blake's accusations the emptiest claims in town. So, how did we get to the point where the main lawyer in a high-profile case dipped out? In short, the receipts, or lack thereof, started talking louder than any claims. At first, the public heard buzzwords like harassment, mistreated on set, and body shaming, and they rallied behind Blake. Then Justin Baldoni's camp unleashed a 170-page file. Yes, 170 pages, filled with emails, text messages, and behind-the-scenes accounts that reportedly contradict most of Blake's statements. Suddenly, folks were doing double takes. If even half of that evidence is legit, then Blake's story appears shaky at best. You can have the most headline-worthy allegations, but if you can't support them with actual proof, they start to fall apart faster than a cheap weave under hot lights. Especially in Hollywood's court of public opinion, where loyalty swings faster than a front door in a heat wave. Before long, people who'd been outraged on Blake's behalf began asking, Wait, did she ever show anything concrete to back all this up? And the answer from Justin's side seemed to be a resounding no. Worse yet. Every time Blake's team tried to point to smoking gun evidence, Friedman and Baldoni's people would release snippets of text convos or internal memos that painted a completely different picture. At that stage, Conant's abrupt exit started making perfect sense. If you're standing in a courtroom, you need more than rumor and hype to sway a judge or a jury. And it was becoming increasingly clear that Blake might not have what it takes to win. Now, you'd think the lack of proof might cool the story, but that was before a major media heavyweight stepped in and stirred up even more trouble. We all know the New York Times has a reputation for being the gold standard in journalism. So when they stepped into this mess, it was like a seal of approval for Blake Lively's side, at least at first. They published an article that, according to Friedman, didn't just rehash her allegations, but practically elevated them to confirmed fact. Cue the collective gasp from fans and industry insiders alike. But Friedman fired back hard. He claimed the Times sped through the publication, giving the Wayfair side barely any time to comment. And if that's true, it reeks of something beyond sloppy journalism. It smells like bias. Friedman even suggested the paper may have lost its legal shield known as the fair report privilege, which typically protects news outlets reporting on court cases. Why? Because if you push allegations as fact instead of accusations, you're stepping outside the bounds of neutral journalism. Naturally, the Times insisted they were simply doing their job, shedding light on a major story involving big Hollywood names. They pointed out that they reached out for quotes and clarifications, but Friedman wasn't having it. He has documents suggesting they had the piece locked in long before Wayfair or Baldoni could provide a thorough response. In Friedman's eyes, that's more than an oversight. It's actively shaping the narrative. And let's be real, the New York Times is a giant. If they imply someone's allegations are legit, a lot of people will take it at face value. That alone is enough to tip the scales of public opinion against Justin Baldoni and the Wayfair folks. Which raises the question, were they fair, or did they do Blake's PR team a massive favor? Speaking of PR teams, Blake's side wasn't exactly sipping tea in the background. They were mobilizing a whole squad to shape public perception. If you think Blake Lively ventured into this battle without backup, sweetie, think again. She had a crisis management machine that could rival a political campaign. We're talking social media strategists, spin doctors, and possibly a few well-connected Hollywood insiders ready to spread the word. The goal? Make sure the public saw her as the victim and Justin Baldoni as the villain, no matter how murky the evidence. Rumor has it they orchestrated negative storylines against the Wayfair crew, fueling social media with tidbits meant to spark outrage. And you've seen how quickly folks on Twitter can jump on a cause, especially if they feel there's an underdog to root for. The more outraged the public became, the more Justin's side had to scramble to defend themselves against a barrage of online condemnation. Problem is, PR spin runs only as deep as the facts allow. The minute Friedman started producing documents to counter the claims, that wellspring of public sympathy began drying up. People started to wonder if they'd been manipulated by a carefully orchestrated campaign. This is the moment when harassment accusations morph into, are we sure this even happened, in the court of public opinion? Blake's PR team might have banked on the idea that big personalities and emotional allegations would overshadow any missing proof. For a minute, it seemed like they were right, until Friedman and his stack of evidence turned the narrative on its head. But that's not all Friedman uncovered. He's also hinting at deeper collusion, a plot that could blow this whole scandal wide open. Now here's where it goes from messy to downright explosive. Friedman suspects there was collusion among multiple players, not just the PR team. We're talking about a coordinated effort to destroy Baldoni's reputation and wrestle control from Wayfair. According to the rumors, certain figures in Blake's camp, some so-called trusted media voices, and a few behind-the-scenes Hollywood movers might have worked in tandem to spin a narrative of poor, mistreated star versus big bad studio. For Friedman, it's not just a matter of clearing Justin Baldoni's name. It's about exposing an orchestrated campaign built on half-truths and illusions. If these allegations are true, it means the entire public meltdown was scripted from day one. From the carefully timed media leaks to the hush-hush conversations with the Times, everything could have been part of a bigger game. Some insiders say Friedman's prepared to subpoena digital communications that would show who talked to whom and when. If that reveals a chain of text messages or emails coordinating a smear campaign, you better believe heads will roll. Hollywood has seen plenty of backdoor deals and star power plays, but this one's shaping up to be monumental if Friedman can prove it. And the irony? Blake might have set all this in motion, only to see it backfire on her career in ways she never imagined. With tension sky high and reputations at stake, there's only one place to settle it all: the courtroom. After all this drama, you just know the next big spectacle is a trial. Friedman's game plan is to have everything adjudicated under California law, not New York. Why? Because California defamation laws can be stricter and more generous if the allegations turn out to be false. Given that Justin Baldoni and the Wayfair squad reside in the heart of Hollywood, Friedman argues their reputations suffer most where they do business, so that's where the case belongs. It might seem like a minor technicality, but it's huge in the world of defamation. If Friedman wins that battle, it opens the door for bigger damages and a more sympathetic local jury. After all, in California, folks understand that a single nasty rumor can torpedo an entire career, especially one as public-facing as Baldoni's. And let's not forget the potential fallout for the New York Times, should a jury decide the paper went too far in endorsing unverified claims. That's the other piece. Friedman wants a real, live jury, one that has to weigh actual evidence, testimony, and cross-examinations. He's making it clear. Let's let the facts decide this, not a few social media threads or sensational headlines. And with the way public opinion has swung back and forth, a level-headed legal process might be the only fair shot at getting the truth on record. If Friedman succeeds and can demonstrate that the allegations were misleading or even malicious, the verdict could change the Hollywood playbook on how celebrities spin their scandals. It would signal that you can't just rely on star power and PR glitz to drown out a lack of hard proof, especially when the other side is ready to fight you in open court. So here we stand. Blake Lively's high-profile lawyer has bailed. Friedman is waving around an avalanche of receipts, and the New York Times is caught in the crosshairs of an escalating legal brawl. As this all unfolds, Hollywood is holding its collective breath. Will Blake bounce back with a new legal squad that can patch these narrative holes? Can Friedman prove Blake's claims were built on shaky ground? And will one of America's biggest newspapers be forced to face its own reporting strategies under a harsh courtroom spotlight? The only certainty is that this saga's far from over. We may be witnessing a moment that changes not just these celebrities' careers, but how the media, fans, and studios handle explosive accusations in the future. It's the kind of story that could make even the most jaded Hollywood veteran say, "Now that's dramatic." Thanks for supporting the Gossip Wire. If you made it this far in the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more of the hottest celebrity news online.